Welcome back to Yildiz Readings 5D. We're here to cover the update for the Divine Masculine and what we see coming ahead for them. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium, I'm an intuitive astrologer, and we cover the energy here on YouTube for you weekly. And if you do need a booking, you can go to the link directly below, and we have added support through our Sage Inner Circle network. Without further ado, let's take a look at the Divine Masculine's weekly energy and what I physically see coming up for them. Now, the one thing I was really noticing, and this could be something to do with the eclipses that are pending, we do have a bold energy between January and February. This can feel almost like we've had to hit the ground running. And from a psychic perspective, what I do see, especially from the cards that are coming up, is there's an element of confusion here. And it may be it feels like they're waiting for something. I'll be truly truthful to you. This crowding energy, we have this individual sort of like not knowing what to believe, not knowing fact from fiction. And it's like they're waiting for an outcome of some description. This also could be based around making a cemented decision that is kind of coming through in a responsible sense. So I don't feel it's that they are wanting to do this in an irresponsible way. I feel they're very much wanting to do it in a responsible way. But I'm getting this feeling that the notion coming through is they're not quite sure how this is going to come about. Now, as we're looking at the overall energy and we are looking to the most recent past, this is something that has directly been weighing on their mind quite a bit. And, it's been something in the background that's been lingering. And it's almost like they feel now is the time that it's needing to be addressed. For some of them, it could be, again, a waiting game, really looking at life, looking at the turbulence and saying, okay, with all this uncertainty, about where life is going, where do I stand in the mix? What do I hold true? What do I feel, is a good kind of position for myself? Now, in some ways, this can link to career. For some, this can be around a family and tribal dynamic. Now, this card, we are going to pull a clarifier because this is collective energy. If you do want the personal interpretation down to the crux of what's going on with your counterpart, feel free to book a reading online. I'm going to get the clarifiers. Bear with me because I feel this is important here in the mix to take a deeper look. And I kind of get this feeling that it's something quite significant going on. Yeah, for some, okay. They feel in a way that something has prevented them from actually choosing them, okay? Choosing themselves, choosing how they're going. They're also unaware, and this statement is coming through, they're unaware how they're going to respond to the circumstance. And that brings an element of uncertainty. They're trying to believe in themselves. They're trying to understand how they work. And, in some ways, it is that they do know how they work. And that's what scares them most is that, surrounded by wonderful people, there is a bold potential for success. Surrounded by very difficult circumstances, they're scared about the shadow side for them of what that could actually bring out and what that is going to mean for their future moving forward. So they're in this psychological awareness of it. And there has been some shadow work, there has been some old dynamics over the last few months, I would say, that they've really had to go through to actually come to this. But they are instinctually feeling that the action they're about to take is absolutely necessary. And that, yes, I'm hearing the term 50-50. There's a 50-50 in a sense that it could go one way. There's a 50-50 in a sense it could go the other. And that is the variable of life, especially with the context. And I would say by the energy of this year, because it is a number one, it's about, it can be hard because in one hand, we are needing to really build bridges with groups that we feel are solid alliances for ourselves. And I feel in the first 2 months, there can be this energetic shake-up of what we're aligning with, what we believe. And we still are very, very tied with the North Node in Pisces. These impossible things, they are looking to their dreams, they are feeling that it has to be done, that there's no, and I just get this thing where what the statement is being made is there's no choice but to succeed, there's no choice but to accept uncertainty. But it does feel like with this uncertainty, they're coming back to the movement forward, and they're like, look, I know I can move. I can move hell and high water. I can move mountains when I am moving towards my desire. So in some ways, although they know there is an area of life that needs addressing and there could be some hurdles and challenges, on the other side of the coin, their deepest commitment and emotion is to their success in their life and to actually moving ahead and moving towards what they desire and not putting themselves second. And I think for a long time, they've had this push-pull. So working through disbelief. For some, it can be that this week moving into next, they're going to have a reality check. It is going to signify transformation. It is going to be helping a dream come to pass. It is going to be bringing a reality to a head. And this is where, although they may not feel grounded, they're going to have the truth of the matter. It is, yeah, it's, how do I put it? They're wanting to base something on complete fact. So, yes, their mind can be going away with them. This could have been a hunch, it could have been a tip-off, and it could have been something that was said to them. This could have been also a very long time ago, and they've taken the bull by the horns and they've decided to follow through with their instincts, with their intuition, and it's now coming to pass that they're having a reality to do with something. It's funny, I'm getting this lingering energy of Mercury retrograde, even though we aren't really with that. But it feels like something pertaining to the past really coming to a head now. And I feel this was really coming up around last year. But for some, it could have been that they were unable to resolve it due to the fact it was coming close to the end of the year. I kind of feel that some of this is coming through between now and next month. But whatever this is, it feels this week there is a distinct possibility they could be getting some information through that may not necessarily instantly cause groundedness, but it is going to be an answer of some shape or form. And this is actually going to help them prior to the end of the month really trust their instincts and bring something to an absolute close. And that absolute close, I do believe, has been, for some, it can be that signature comes up in February, but I'm really feeling here the divine masculine. This is an end of an old chapter. This is a beginning of a brand new one. It's unfinished business that directly needed addressing. And it's bringing the skeletons out of the closet. And these skeletons were very, very dark, very, very ominous, so to speak. This could also pertain to people's intentions, people's integrity. And there was one thing that came up psychically last year, which I do feel does link to mid-year, and that is going to be the utmost need for integrity at a collective level. So, really gauging where people are coming from, really gauging just because you're doing right doesn't mean to say somebody else is going to be doing right, so that we have our instincts intact, not necessarily coming through like a narcissist, but more so coming through with that integrity of, knowing you're doing the right thing, and it's because you choose, you feel it is what is correct. So there's an element of forgiveness, I believe divine masculine is moving through that, even on an occasion or, based around something. They're wanting to do something by the book. They're wanting to do something the correct way. But it is going to signify some shakeups of some description. I also feel there is a shift here with their wellness, and this can be the way they're treating their body, how they're dealing with their stress levels. It almost feels like some of those patterns may have been coming up how could we say it? Sometimes aiding the shadow. Now, what do I mean by that? In your ascension process and through the what we deem as the Great Awakening, there are pocket groups and various intervals that do move through this stage. For some, this was really creeping up around 2017, 18. For others, it hit around 2020, although I feel more so 2023, late 2024, 2025. But this is more so the wrap up of it here. It's these reality checks, it's these okay, I need to level up. And, through that shadow phase, what we can tend to have, especially with Neptune and Pisces, which we have the North Node currently in Pisces, is that we can turn to, how would I put it? Ways to escape, means to escape, to cope with the trigger, to cope with the, sometimes we can be skipping away with furries and, putting our head in the sand and saying everything's okay. And then we can have these sharp reality checks, especially with retrogrades. It's almost like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? So I do feel these any patterns and habits that they were using to directly mask or cope with shadow work, I do feel that is going to be wrapping up. It's going to be shifting into a different area, but it's something that is really pushing them to move into that shadow work, and really dealing with tribal energy, the people they connected with, who they, where their homeland is, whether they're a parent, whether they're not, whether that was something they're wanting, what happened, in their childhood. All of that is directly being moved through at this point in time, and it is moving into this very level up energy, almost like they're not tolerating it anymore. There is this apprehension, there is this caution around it, and there is this fear-based frequency. However, we see from this bottom row, that's something directly. It's been a long time coming. It's old. They've been, in a way, when we see the fives and we see the mortality card here with the death, the blue on the lips, very Mercury news coming through. It's coming to a head. When we see the fives, generally speaking, it has been I would say this card dropping down to a 6. And I'm getting the fives. I'm really getting the fives. This is something psychically I'm seeing this person has waited for a very long time. But naturally, how universe brings it to us is generally in an odd way. And it's like we could say to universe, look, I'm really sick of my life the way it is. I just need change. And when we start seeing the fives, what generally can happen is all of a sudden everything falls down around you and you're like, heck, that wasn't what I asked. And you're putting this manifestation out and you're asking universe for change. And when universe brings it in, it's sweeping change. It's like tsunami change. It's change a job, change a relationship, change of home. And it can feel very disruptive, but somehow you will land on your feet. But it is helping every facet of your life that does not resonate with you to shed away. And that is very similar to the astrology, in a sense, moving through the energy of Pisces, which will wrap up mid-year, and then move into Aquarius in a number 1 year. We are very much, especially with the horse, the fire horse, it's going to be quick. It's going to be fast. We are going to need to know where we are going. We are going to need to understand we are moving like the floor is lava. We're going to have to be decisive and to think on our feet. And I feel the divine masculine here has been asking and waiting and has been formed like a diamond for this moment. And I do see them coming through, those that are divine, in a very, very positive way, but also feeling as though their answers are coming to them. So, the old saying, be careful what you wish for. They may generally go, okay, well, I have the answers now. I don't need to not know. I will have the answers. I'm having the courage to seek them out so that I can move my path where I wish to go. And honestly speaking, I'm going to pull a romance card because a lot of you, I had been actually doing the joint connection energy. And I feel that where the masculine is at this point, especially moving into mid-year, I would definitely say that there can be a lot of them moving into alignment. But what is really happening between the masculine and the feminine is both of you are moving into personal alignment to have a union that is very different to what you thought it would be. And how that's going to come about is both of you being incredibly independent, but working very well together. And I feel these things that are shedding away from our life are actually aiding that process. Okay, power. Okay, you instinctively know what is right for you, and you have the power to say no or to walk away at any time. And it's funny this card's come up because we actually have the serpent wrapped around the divine feminine and masculine. And this is interesting. I can say it's it almost looks like a scorpion tail, but it's more so coming from the divine feminine than the masculine, which is weird. There is a point in your journey, and many of you, if you've read any script and you understand the context of it, you don't quite maybe complete, and this is more so for those of you that haven't reconciled, you don't quite know why it says you can choose it or you don't have to. It's because you physically have looked upon each other's shadow that much that there's nothing left to hide. And so when the complete shedding away has been there and there is less attachment, it's like, look, I will not die without you. I want you to be okay. I want you to be fine. But, I've created those boundaries inside my life. I've moved myself back up again. I know who I am at a very individual level. I know what I do and don't want. It is physically a choice then. And you won't get as much of the psychic attacks and the things like that. Regardless, there is going to be a choice here. And it is yours to take. It is yours to choose. But what I'm getting is this individual does wish to choose you. We are going to check in with this energy next week and see what is coming up with it. And I hope to see you next week. And don't forget to look at the masculine, feminine, and karmic third party weekly. Now, if you do want to join our website, we do have the app you can download to gain insight into our blogs, all of our webinars, events, and more, as well as you are able to visit the Sage and a Circle Network landing page for more information about our membership and how to sign up to it. Otherwise, I will see you next week for our Twin Flame updates and more. Take care.